the 1990 season. Now, the 1990 Camel Supercross season started with an explosion of talented, young, wild-riding rookies and ended with a flourish from the established stars. In between, red-hot racing action, the best in the history of the sport. Rookies Damon Bradshaw and Jeff Matasevich were the dominant factors in the opening round. They introduced an aggressive style of riding that defied tradition. Tradition that called for conservative racing in the early going while the top stars sorted things out. As a result, the entire field was forced to pick up the pace in order to match the challenge of the newcomers. Throughout the season, established stars and rookies alike paid the price. Crashes were frequent. Tempers flared. On-track battles among the competition became commonplace. Injuries plagued every factory team. To say the least, the competition was fierce. When the season finale rolled into the Los Angeles Coliseum, 5 different riders had tasted the champagne of victory. Defending Supercross champ Jeff Stanton had the upper hand at the last event. He needed only a respectable finish to claim the crown for the second straight year. The eyes of the huge crowd, though, were not on Stanton, as yet another on-track war was taking place. On the final lap, Frenchman Jean-Michel Bayle passed Damon Bradshaw for the lead. Bradshaw, with a bone-jarring move, passed Bayle back and held on to take the win, but just barely. Watch as the teenager heads for the checkered flag. Amidst the excitement, Stanton went on to claim the crown. Thus, the season ended the way it began. Exciting, controversial, and intense. Back to 1991, where earlier today, qualifying heats were held to determine the 250 main event lineup. Now, there were a pair of them from which the top 4 riders transferred directly to the main. Those that did not finish in the top 4 went to a pair of semifinals. From the semis, the top 5 finishers moved to the main. Those that were still not qualified had one more chance. Fittingly enough, it's called the last chance qualifier. From that event, only 2 finishers will go to the main event. And in heat race number 1, a talented field, Marty. Jeff Matasevich, Jean-Michel Bayle, Rick Johnson, Larry Ward. It's going to be tough to qualify.
Well, I hate to have to pick a winner in this one.
Other than picking a winner, how would you like to be, Marty, on that starting line?
Well, Larry, you know there's butterflies going everywhere right now. And there they go.
First event of the 1991 season for this 250 class, headed toward corner number 1, and a pile-up already. Dag Boyson, number 30, Keith Johnson, rider number 40. They're going to have trouble qualifying unless they make it through that last chance or semi-final event.
Yeah, you know, they're pretty much out of it right now. They should just go back, regroup, and get in the next last chance qualifier.
I think probably that's what you do when you have that kind of a spill. You try to sort yourself out, maybe find yourself 1 or 2 lines, but put your mental thoughts toward making the main by going through the semis. Meanwhile, out front, the 2-time Supercross champ, the winningest rider in the history of the sport, Rick Johnson. Now, for the past couple of seasons, Johnson has been plagued with wrist injuries. He's not been riding up to par. He said in an earlier event that this is going to be his last season. He's no longer riding the way he wants to ride. But, Marty, he looks awfully good right now.
Larry, Ricky looks really good right now. He's in full command. He knows he's got the lead, but he knows that he has 10 laps to hold on to this lead.
And that's part of the problem that Johnson is going through. The wrist just gives way midway through the event. Now, running back in the number 2 position, a whole passel of riders. They're led by Jeff Matasevich from Anaheim, California, rider number 7, running in the number 3 spot, the Suzuki of Mike LaRocco. Now, LaRocco goes down behind the hay bales. We just saw a glimpse of the tire. There's LaRocco trying to dig himself out from under the motorcycle, get back in it. Now, LaRocco's had a lot of experience doing that throughout the 1990 season. Seemed like he came from out of the pack more times than he got a good start. Now, there's another shot of LaRocco. We missed the crash. He was buried behind that hay bale, but he's all right. He's going to get back up. He's a tough guy out of LaPorte, Indiana, and he'll do well before this season is over. Meanwhile, up front, and Rick Johnson is feeling the pressure of the young Lion. We've got the veteran and the Lion, Marty. You've been in both positions.
Well, right now, I have to give the edge to Matasevich, and there he just passed him on the inside. Matasevich is in control right now. He's a little stronger than Rick. Rick's coming off that wrist injury, and Jeff is really pumped. It's the beginning of the year. He wants to show everybody that last year was no fluke.
Well, there's another thing to consider. We're looking at qualifying action, and Rick Johnson is a veteran. He understands how these things work, and we're seeing Jean-Michel Bayle, incidentally, rider number 8, crop into the screen. Bayle, a teammate of Rick Johnson, but I was alluding to the fact there's more concerned about qualifying maybe than winning this particular event. And I think if I'm Rick Johnson, I'm going to say, hey, you guys go ahead. All I want to do is get into the main. And he let Bale go around the outside. He just kind of squared that corner off. And Bale, who is eager to test the merits of Jeff Matasevich or anyone else on the track after finishing second in the series in 1990, just went ahead and made the pass. And he's going to charge and see how close he can come to Matasevich before this one is over. And I would think, Marty, he would probably like to throw some dirt in his face.
Well, definitely. He'd like to set the stage for the main event, Larry, right now.
So even though on one hand we're looking at a veteran, Rick Johnson, who says, hey, you guys go ahead, all I want to do is qualify, we look at the battle up front, and these two guys are saying qualifying is not enough. It's up to me to show my competitor out on the racetrack that this is what I'm going to do to him in the main.
Yeah, well, Larry, there's no love lost here between Matasevich and Bale. You know, they're going to let all the stops out right now.
I think once you get on the racetrack, Marty, what was it Bob Hanna used to say? He said, hey, they don't send me no Christmas cards, and I'm not giving them any slack on the track.
That's a fact. You know, they're all friends off the track, but on the track, it's a different story.
So out in front, it's Jeff Matasevich out of Anaheim, California. Right behind him, the French former world champion. He won that championship in the 125 class, then came back the following year in the 250 class, then moved to the United States. And his theory was, I'm going to give up all that I have in Europe. I'm going to give up all of the French fans and the hundreds of thousands of dollars that were available to me. I'm going to come to the United States, where to win there is to be a real champion. And he has flat said that on many occasions, and you've got to admire what he has done. White flag signifying the last lap, and Bale is going to pull out all the stops, or he's going to accept second. What's going to happen?
You know, Larry, I think right now Bale is just content with second. He's got Matasevich within reach, but he's following his lines, looking at him to see if he can maybe pick some different things up for the main event. He knows that there's nothing here at stake in this qualifier. It's all in the main event, and I think he's got it right where he wants
So
it.
the rider moods change from lap to lap. Early on, it looked like Bale wanted to pass Matasevich and maybe just spin a rooster tail up and say, taste that, fella. But now later in the going, he's more content to sit back and watch what is happening. And I think probably that's the intelligent side of the Frenchman coming out.
But you know, Larry, all three of these riders know the importance of making it to the main, and I think they're real content right where they're at.
Well, Jeff Matasevich was certainly content as he takes the win. He had this to say to Wendy Walsh in Winner's Circle.
Tell me, what was the toughest part out there?
Late in the race, Jean-Michel Bell started to close in, and he's giving me a little run for my money, but I held him off, and I won.
Thank you, Wendy. And here are the qualifiers from heat race number 1. Matasevich won it, followed by Jean-Michel Bale. Rick Johnson was third, and Larry Ward took the final qualifying position. Now, Marty, let's take a look at heat race number 2. And again, a talent-loaded field. Jeff Stanton, Jeff Ward, Mike Kidrowski, Damon Bradshaw. Heat race number 2 heads for the first corner, and already a problem. Doing a handstand with his motorcycle, Mike Jones, rider number 79, out of Pennsylvania. Long haul for nothing. Out front, the two-time Supercross champ, Jeff Stanton. Now, look, on the ground, Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11. Marty, that's a heck of a way to start your year.
You know, Larry, that really puts a damper on his effort for the night. Now he's got to ride extra hard just to make it so he doesn't have to ride the semi.
Well, again, this is a qualifying heat race, and only the top 4 riders will make it into the main. In the semi, Marty, that we're referring to as a semi-final event. And obviously, a rider does not want to go through that because it's one more time on the track, and this is a tough track, a grueling sport, and you get worn out. That main event is going to be a long one, and you need to conserve all of the energy that you can.
Yeah, Larry, but that might be an advantage on a track like this. You know, the track's changing, it's soft terrain, and each time the guys go out there, the track, the lines are different. So it may be to a rider's advantage to have to ride a semi.
Well, that's a good point. Jeff Stanton, though, does not have that in mind. I assure you, Stanton took the whole shot, and he is literally running away from this field. Now, in 1990, there's a shot of Doug Dubach, incidentally. He's running in the number 2 position, followed closely by Mike Kidrowski, and behind Kidrowski, Ron Tishner. We go back to 1990. The veterans, including Jeff Ward, including Jeff Stanton, got off to a very slow start. Stanton said, it's not going to happen this year. I'm going to go out right from the drop of the gate, the first gate, and I'm going to ride as hard as I can all year. And it appears he is doing just that. This is a great battle for the number 2 position. Kidrowski slides into second, past Doug Dubach, number 15, aboard the Yamaha. And here comes Ron Tishner, dropped from the Suzuki factory. And look at this. Late in this qualifying event, Damon Bradshaw has now moved up to about the numbers 5 or 6 position. He is really ripping this racetrack apart. He needs to get 4th. He's going to have to to make another pass here before this one is history. He's got to get by at least Tishner, and he's going to have to get by Dubach. Here he comes to the inside. He's got his sights set on Dubach. The adrenaline is flowing.
Doug Dubach is feeling some serious pressure right now. Damon just passed him on the outside, it looks like. He's got the drive coming out of every turn on all these guys. He's made up some serious time, Larry.
Well, now let's see what he does with Ron Tishner. Bradshaw is not riding the good lines on the track. He's going wherever there is no one else. He's making his own lines. He's all over the place, but my gosh, is he going fast. White flag, last lap, and he blew by Tishner in the air there. Tishner got a good drive and came back at him and regained that number 4 position, but this is for the final transfer spot.
Larry, right now, Damon should just cool it and say, hey, look, I qualified. I was almost out of it. I've worked my way back. He should be content with qualifying right now. He's riding like a madman.
Tishner is holding on. An outstanding ride. Tishner is holding off the charge of Damon Bradshaw. We're down to the final corners on this one. Oh, and Tishner goes down all by himself. Marty, it was a pure case of pressure. The pressure got to him. Damon Bradshaw took the 4th and final transfer position. Now let's take another look at Tishner's mishap. Marty?
It looks like Ronnie's front wheel washed out on this little drop here. He felt the pressure, definitely. He could hear their bikes. He just lost a little concentration right there.
Well, I think the lesson there is if you ever get in that TV game called concentration, you don't want Tishner for a partner. Wendy Walsh is with Jeff Stanton in winner's circle.
It was basically an easy heat race, but the main event, I'm sure, is going to be a lot harder. A lot of guys going fast.
Who are you worried about most in the main?
I'm not worried about anybody. I'm sure they're worried about myself, so I'm just going to go out and ride my own race and go for the win.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Wendy, and congratulations to Jeff Stanton, the winner of heat race number 2 by a mile. Jeff Ward was second, followed by Mike Kudrowski third, and with that exciting come from the back of the pack ride, Damon Bradshaw taking the final transfer position. Here's a look at the semifinals and last chance qualifiers to fill the main event. Welcome back to Supercross 91, the ultimate challenge. I'm Larry Myers, with me, Marty Smith. The 250cc main event is just about to get underway. The riders are in the midst of their parade lap. Now, before we get into that main event, let's go to Wendy Walsh, who earlier today took a look at track construction.
You know, most forms of motorsports take place on permanent tracks. But Supercross is different, of course, because it takes place in a stadium. Now, when the promoters put together this track, they obviously wanted to preserve the natural grass of the Florida Citrus Bowl. To that end, they began with about 2,000 sheets of plywood. On top of that, they laid literally miles of construction-grade plastic. Then 500 truckloads of dirt were dumped on this site. An army of 15 men and a team of bulldozers shaped the track into what you see today. The final step, they lined it with bales of hay, not only to define the borders, but to keep the riders within the boundaries. This is a battlefield, and as you're seeing today, battles do exist in Supercross.
Good observation, Wendy. Now, before this war gets underway, let's take a look at how this Orlando track is laid out. You show us how they built it. Now let's see what it looks like. Long starting straightaway, a couple of breaker bumps in the middle to slow the riders down before they get to that first corner. Then it's a sharp one. They'll make a right-hand U-turn through a small section of whoop-de-doos up over the top of this big, tall finish line jump. It will be the finish line jump 19 laps from now. They'll come down from that, take a left-hand turn onto the long straightaway full of whoop-de-doos. This is a rough section of the racetrack. Another left-hander up over the top of a series of jumps into some more whoop-de-doos. Another left-hand turn toward one of the more spectacular parts of the racetrack. They call it a triple jump. Riders will be flying 70 feet through the air. Then a couple of big double jumps, another left-hander, and actually that's more of a U-turn as they fly up on top of a tabletop jump and off into a sand pit. Another long stretch of whoop-de-doos gets rough in that section. A right-hand turn, a short straightaway, and another right up over the top of the finish line jump. You do that 19 more times. times, and you might have a chance of winning. Now let's take a look at some of the key players. Jeff Stanton has to be considered the favorite for Team Honda. 2 times a champion. Jean-Michel Bale finished second last year, and to look for him to be right up there in every event. Have to take a look at Damon Bradshaw for Team Yamaha. He's a threat. And, of course, the veteran Jeff Ward. No matter how you cut it, he's going to be in contention. And rounding out the field, the top 5, I should say, our look at the key players, is Jeff Matasevich. He'll be a threat in any event throughout the 1991 season. Well, we've looked at the track, and we've looked at some of the key players. There is the rest of the field on the start line. The 1991 Camel Supercross Series is about to get underway, and it's going to be exciting. What are they thinking about on the starting line, Marty?
Right now, they just don't want to make any mistakes. They're watching for that pin on the gate to move an inch.
And as soon as it wiggles, we can see them with their throttles revved. They pop the clutch, and away they go, headed for corner number 1. And the shoving, the banging, the bumping has already started.
Looks like FMS Ronnie Tishner's got the whole shot.
Tishner, rider number 12, he's riding a tough racing Suzuki. We'll recall in this heat race that Tishner was trying to qualify. No such luck. He fell in the last corner, gave that slot away to Damon Bradshaw. And Bradshaw, incidentally, running in about the number 5 or 6 position. So Ronnie Tishner out front. Then we go back to number 10, Larry Ward, running in the number 2 position. Jeff, no, correct that. Yes, it is. Jeff Ward, rider number 3, is running in the number 3 position. Ward, the wily veteran out of this bunch. So who's it going to be when this one winds down? Marty, do you have a favorite this early in the ballgame?
Well, you know, I watched Jeff ride in his heat race. He looked really strong, but right now he's way back. He's got a lot of ground to cover, and there's a lot of talent up front right now.
Well, we're talking about Jeff Stanton, the 2-time Supercross champion, and indeed he is back in the pack. There's just a shot of him. Boy, he is making ground up already, coming through on the inside. When a guy starts out that bad in a race, what is the motivating factor? What does he try to do?
Well, Larry, when he's that far back, he's got to take any opportunity to pass that he can. Where he sees an inch, he's got to take a mile.
And let's take a look and give a call to the man who has moved into the number 5 position. He came from the back of the pack. Unbelievable ride. It's Jeff Stanton out of Sherwood, Michigan. Now, here's our leader, Ron Tishner. Damon Bradshaw has settled into 2nd. Larry Ward is 3rd. There's Jeff Ward. Now, that's where the veterans start to come in. Jeff Ward holding down the number 4 position, and right behind him comes Jeff Stanton. Still back in the pack, and I think we're going to hear from him before this one is over. An outstanding rider is number 8, Jean-Michel Bale. He is working his way through traffic. But right now, the story is for the number 2 position. Bradshaw has it, and Jeff Ward wants it. A heck of a battle going on. There goes Stanton to the outside.
You know, Larry, right now, these guys have just started a blistering pace at the beginning. I don't think they can keep it up the whole time.
I have to give a call to the man out front, Ronnie Tishner. We saw him, as I earlier said, in his heat race as the pressure got to him and he went down. But he is handling the best right now that anyone could give him. He is turning in an outstanding ride.
This has got to be Ronnie's best ride of his lifetime. I mean, these guys are just battling just to stay up with him.
Bradshaw and Ward just hammering on each other. Jeff Ward and Damon Bradshaw. Bradshaw comes out on top, holds on to the number 2 position. Jeff Ward settles into 3rd. Here comes Stanton around the outside. He's going to pass Larry Ward, and Jeff Stanton is taking over the number 4 position. But here comes Ward right back on Bradshaw. Unbelievable race action.
What? I can't believe this is some of the tightest racing you're going to see in any race.
Jeff Ward come off the top of that jump. He got a little bit sideways. He was trying to make a move there in a brand new line. It didn't pay off, but he recovered so good. Jeff Ward has to be maybe, would you call him the smoothest rider out there?
I'd say maybe not the smoothest, but definitely the smartest. You know, he's been around so long, he just hardly makes any mistakes.
And mistakes are something that you can't afford in a Supercross main event. Now, up high goes Bradshaw. He squares the corner off, and I looked for a moment at Jeff Ward, and I thought he was going to try to dive underneath and maybe turn in a block pass, but he thought better of that. Now, Jeff Stanton is setting in 4th place. Marty Smith, if you're Jeff Stanton, are you trying to pass, or are you just looking at the line?
Larry, I think right now, Jeff's watching these lines that these guys are taking. They've got, like I said, a serious pace going. He's trying to find anything that he can use to make up time on these guys, and right now, there's nothing out there.
And Jeff Ward blasts by Damon Bradshaw. He takes over the number 2 position, and Ward and Stanton goes with him. Stanton has moved to 3rd, and Ward goes down. Jeff Ward goes down. I don't know, Marty, if he was hit coming off the top of that jump or if he did it all himself, but Jeff Ward goes down, and he's going to be out of this one. What a shame. The two-time champ was riding so well, and all to no avail. Now, Marty, let's go back and take another look at this one. We'll set it up. Jeff Ward was all by himself going over that jump, and what do you think happened here?
Well, Larry, right now, he looks really under control. But if you notice, right about now when he lands, his front tire gets in another line and pitches him off to the left.
Oh, the front wheel and the right wheel just not tracking in the same direction, and that'll put you down every time.
Exactly.
I think they call that soil sample time. Meanwhile, Ron Tishner from Palm Harbor, Florida, he's riding in front of, a crowd here that has labeled him the hometown favorite. And I don't know if that puts more pressure on or if it eases some of the pressure. In any event, the young man from Palm Harbor, Florida, is handling it all with ease. Well, we'll be back with more exciting Supercross action right after this. Back. I'm Larry Myers. With me, Marty Smith. We're in Orlando, Florida at the Citrus Bowl. Supercross 91, the ultimate challenge, and the challenge on the track right now is between rider number 12, Ron Tishner, on a Suzuki, and Jeff Stanton, the defending champion, aboard the Honda. And look who's creeping up on the outside. Number 11 is Damon Bradshaw. We had a quick shot, Marty, of a rider that I said was going to make an appearance, and he has Jean-Michel Bayle.
Michel Bale's coming on right now. He's got a serious drive right behind him. I think he's putting about a second.
Oh, look at that pass, Marty. Excuse me, but that pass was a thing of beauty. Jeff Stanton just took Tishner to the wall, but he had to come to almost a complete stop in the process, and that gave Bradshaw a chance to squirt by on the inside, and Bradshaw inherited the lead. Stanton did all the work. Bradshaw has got the lead, pushing Tishner all the way back to the number 3 position. Unbelievable.
I think Bradshaw caught Stanton by surprise right there, Larry.
I think he did, too. I think Stanton was looking at Tishner and wondering, did he have the block pass made? Looked out of the corner of his eye, and there was Bradshaw. Now Stanton drives to the inside. No pass. Bradshaw holds on to the number 1 spot.
Bradshaw doesn't look really under control right now. He looks a little erratic. I think he needs to settle down, or he's going to fall into that same problem he had last year with crashing.
Well, that's one of the things that Bradshaw said earlier he was going to avoid. He was going to take it easy at the opening part of the season. Here comes Stanton up the outside to that set of whoops, side by side with Bradshaw. Stanton gets the inside line, and Stanton has taken over the number 1 spot. Outstanding move. Marty, he went through the whoops like they weren't there.
That was definitely a veteran move. He just put Bradshaw in his place.
I wonder, does Bradshaw know about that line? He certainly does now. It'll be interesting to see if he goes back and tries it. I've started to say that Bradshaw intended to ride a little on the conservative side at the early part of the season. And I wonder if you switch your riding style, Marty, will it have an adverse effect? Could that be what is causing Bradshaw to, frankly, look sloppy on some parts of the track?
Well, Larry, if Bradshaw starts to be conservative right now, Tishner's going to pass him back, and so is Bale. Bale's right there.
Right there, indeed. He takes Tishner to the wall and takes over the number 3 position. Bale he moves up one more notch on the pecking order. Now, in 1990, Jean-Michel Bale finished in 2nd place in the series. He says, though, in 1991, a little different approach. He's going to rectify that situation.
Last year, I missed 2 races in the start of the season, so this year I have to try to be more consistent and try to win the race like I do last year and try to finish every race.
Jean-Michel Bale, Marty, missed 2 races in 1990, scored absolutely no points, and still finished with a strong 2nd place in the series. So you have to look at him as a strong and a serious contender for the title. But right now, it is all Jeff Stanton. This guy took over the number 1 spot, and he has not slacked off a bit. And, Marty, is that not dangerous? Shouldn't you just shut down a little bit?
Well, you know, sometimes if you fall off your pace a little bit to try to conserve, sometimes that'll throw your timing off. It'll throw everything off. It'll throw your whole race plan off.
Well, I suspect you're saying the jumps are going to be a little bit different. You're not going to land in the same place?
Basically, it's your timing that you don't want to throw off. You want to keep everything flowing, Larry. Once you're in a groove, you want to stay in that groove.
Well, Jeff Stanton, for the past several laps, has done exactly that. He got into the groove. He's staying in the groove. And, Marty, it's the kind of a groove that leads to a championship. Stanton has won for the past 2 seasons the most prestigious crown, I would think, in all of motocross, the Supercross title. And he's aiming for a 3rd title. Only one rider has ever done that, Bob Hanna. But Stanton has the confidence, and he has the support of an excellent mechanic, Dan Bentley, behind him. Here's what they had to say.
I've worked hard. I've done lots of hard training, and I feel good. I feel consistent and ready. American Honda and my mechanic Dan Bentley, we've done a great job. The Honda CRs are probably the best they've ever been.
We've done it for 2 years, and it's just going to be another year. We're going to take it easy. There's 18 races, and take one at a time, and you just don't feel the pressure. You go race to race.
For me, it's going to take a stronger start at the first part of the year to come out aggressive and strong and be ready to handle the rookies and to win races and start out and be consistent all the way through the year.
There's only a few people in the world that can ride the speed that Jeff rides, and I'm just happy to be able to work with somebody that gives me 100% all the time.
Marty, we're coming up on the white flag, and we just looked at a couple of cool customers, and I really believe that they can win this championship 3 times in a row.
Larry, Jeff looks so strong right now. He doesn't even look like he's working. The bike is just giving it 150%.
Well, we saw the white flag. That signifies, of course, 1 lap remaining in this 250cc main event, and Stanton's on his way to his first victory of this young 1991 season. And, gosh, I don't know. What are you feeling if you're Jeff Stanton? Are you cocky at this point? Do you hear funny engine noises? Oh, Rick Johnson, the veteran, down one more time in this race. He has had his problems. But back to Stanton. He's the man of the hour. What is he thinking about?
Well, Larry, right now, he's starting off the season on a winning note. It's got to feel good to him.
It was just 1 year ago when he started out by not winning, in fact, finishing back in the pack. So he started the year with a heck of a deficit, and now he's going into event number 2 with a points lead. Checkered flag, fist in the air, double pumper. Jeff Stanton has won the opening round of the Camel Supercross Series. Now, he doesn't show a lot of emotion, but I guarantee you, Marty, he's one happy dude. We're going to come back and listen to what Jeff Stanton has to say right after this. Welcome back to the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida, where the first round of the Camel Supercross season is history. Jeff Stanton wins it, followed by Jean-Michel Bale, Damon Bradshaw, Ron Tishner, and Mike Kidrowski. Now, before we go down to Wendy Walsh, who was with our winner, Jeff Stanton, here's a look at the rest of the top 10.
Thanks, Larry. Jeff, you're on your way to your 3rd championship. How do you feel?
Well, it feels real good. 1 race underneath me, that's not the championship, so can't get too excited about 1 race. You know, it's great to win that race, and I'm looking forward to a long-term championship win.
Well, your fans were certainly excited tonight, and you know you didn't get an early lead out. You had a battle. Tell me about that final pass.
Well, I can't really remember the final passes, but there were so many that was in there. I started mid-pack, and I knew I had to get aggressive real soon, so I went out strong, and before I knew it, I was right up there with the first 4 or 5 guys, and I just kept picking them away one at a time and was right up there in the lead.
Well, we're going to be watching for you. Thank you. Jeff Stanton, the winner. Back to you, Larry.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Marty, Jeff away for the field tonight. He just, you know, he hid from him.
He just made it look so easy. His strength and durability totally showing above everybody else tonight, Larry.
Can he do it all season long?
I think he's put the psych in these guys for the rest of the season.
We'll see what happens. Supercross 91, the ultimate challenge, moves from Orlando into Houston, Texas 1 week from now. Marty Smith, Wendy Walsh, I'm Larry Myers. We'll see you there.